Hello everyone, welcome to the Ranting Shop. It's me, Melissa, and the Instagram and Twitter streets have been really lively lately because Janelle from Ready to Love Dallas decided to go on her platform and air everything out because she felt as if a lot of the cast members were lying and were not being honest, and that they were taking advantage of the way they were edited so that they can portray a particular narrative which behind the scenes were not true. All right, so I just picked a few topics that she spoke on and a few people she spoke on, and I'm going to address it after we listen to what she has to say about each person that she addressed. Now, in this live, she addressed Chris, Taquilla, Kira, and Kat or Katarina, and I think she also addressed her BB. All right, so we're gonna break it down bit by bit after every little statement she makes because we want to, discuss it a bit. Let's go.
So she's like, so when she had the conversation with Phil, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know about it at the mansion mixer when they have the conversation, and I didn't know about it when they had the conversation about all the sexy questions on the date. I didn't know anything about this. So when she's telling me, I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, they did? And she was like, yeah. And she says to me, I would never say anything like that. I can't believe they told me to say that because I'm a lady. I would never say anything like that. Starts crying again because I've been praying with my pastor and I've been talking to my mama and I'm like, okay. Then she goes, and Quentin only date white women. What? And she was like, he only date white women. I was like, I said, how you know that? So let's get to it. I said, how you know that? She said, well, Leanne said that she see him at the gym and he ain't never with no black girls.
So right here, Janelle is referring to the time when she was on a group date and came extremely late, and the group date consisted of Taquilla, Red, Kira, and Phil, and that's the time she made the statement about Kira having a fake bag, right, which she doubled down on the live. But she was basically saying that Taquilla was lying and saying that production was making her say certain things and prompting her to speak on certain subjects when it came to Phil, and that she didn't want to do it because she talks to her pastor, and essentially that she didn't want to come across as if she's just this vulgar sexual person. And she also spoke on an occasion where she said some not so nice things about Janelle, and she went to Janelle and she was like, I said this about you, but she made it seem as if production was the one that made her talk about Janelle in the way that she did, in regards to Janelle being fake or Janelle being a mean girl and all these types of things. And then later on, or closer to the time when they could see it on TV, she was changing her tune and telling Janelle, well, actually, I said it myself. He essentially says that Janelle is a liar and she will do anything to get herself out of a sticky situation until she is stuck between a rock and a hard place and has to eventually tell the truth. My thing about it is, yes, production, I guess, do try to prompt you in a particular direction as far as what you say, but I don't think they tell you what to say. And on the podcast with Crystal XO, we noticed that Taquilla is the type of person that doesn't like to take accountability. Everything is everybody else's fault and she has nothing to do with it. And so I kind of believe Janelle in a sense, where I do think that she ran in a state of panic to tell Janelle, I said these things about you, but it's production, knowing that it wasn't production and she was just trying to save her ASS when it finally aired on TV. So that I believe, because Taquilla has proved herself to be a person that lacks accountability. Janelle is that way also, but we're gonna talk about that later.
That is what plagues him. It's not about being a bad person. It's not about being a good person. He just have some growing up to do. You get to mess up. You get to misstep. You get to say the wrong thing. But can you take accountability of the things that you say? Can you be like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. These posts I made today, probably shouldn't have done them. I'm grown up enough to say that. But I'm at my limit with these people.
So here she makes a really good point, because what she was trying to say or speak to was her BB and the atrocious things that he uttered to Janelle. And she mentioned telling production and production not doing anything about it. And she was kind of pressured, so to speak, to say it at the women's lounge. And she said it. And Tommy was very irate, extremely pissed off. And clearly it indicated that he had no idea what was going on. I feel like Tommy doesn't really know the outs of production and all these types of things. All Tommy knows is he's gonna come in at this time, he's gonna do his little jokes, say his little comments, introduce the day's activities, and leave. As far as the nitty gritty and the itty bitties of little technical stuff and production stuff, he has no clue. So when he found that, he was very upset, and then her BB ended up leaving. But what Janelle was trying to say was that, yeah, like, he's a good guy when he's not performing, but when he starts performing for the camera, he gets ridiculous, and he says the things that gets the most reactive responses from the people he tells it to, which is true, which is what I've seen of him. Now, as far as Taquilla was concerned, she also mentioned the fact that even after hearing that from Janelle, she did not want to accept it, because she felt as if Janelle was trying to sabotage her stay on the show. And really and truly, Janelle was just disgusted, because who would say something like that to somebody and think they're gonna be good with you and talk with you afterwards? The truth of the matter is, and she also mentioned it, her BB was literally Taquilla's only possible connection. Nobody else seemed interested in Taquilla. It's a fact. I don't think Janelle was being boastful, neither was she exaggerating anything. From what we saw, that's what it was. I don't know what the problem was, but it became that she was light-skinned and she's experienced it. That's what she said on Crystal XO's channel, Taquilla, that her skin tone had a part to play in how she was treated on the show. And really, it could possibly just be the fact that she's extremely opinionated and she just will not stand for certain things. Like, for example, she spoke on a situation with the porta potty where she had her period and she needed to use it, and then they suggested that to her, and she was like, I'm not doing that. But where she does take digs is, she said, other people are used to it, but I'm not, and I'm not accepting that. That's, to me, throwing digs. And from the beginning of this whole Instagram rant, Janelle's whole thing is to set herself apart from the other cast members. She essentially raises herself above the other cast members. So, and by doing that, she throws shots at people like Taquilla, right? And I feel like that's unfortunate, and it is extremely petty, and it speaks to the fact that she is I wouldn't say a mean person, but somebody that doesn't really like to turn the other cheek, so that's not very becoming. But she says she's working on herself. Who knows? Let's go back to listen to what else she has to say.
At my limit with these people. Okay? We in the lounge. Taquilla gets mad because I say they don't like you, and then apparently I'm light-skinned, because that's the only reason why any of these men would like me. I'm light-skinned. Now, I'm not going to even honor that ridiculous remark and give it dignity, but the colorism bullshit has got to stop. It's got to stop. It's not an argument here. We can't, no. They don't. I ain't even the lightest skinned person on the show. And newsflash, I have never considered myself light skinned. I was today years old when I found out that I was light skinned. I'm not light skinned, but your bestie Kira says in the lounge, well, if he like white women, I'm the closest thing to a white woman here. And then she adds, I mean, personality wise, who compares themselves to a white woman as if that's an accomplishment to be white? That's not an accomplishment.
So she came for Kira in this particular part because she was saying that Kira, in other parts of the post, she was saying that Kira was fake and that she has a very ghetto name. I don't want to say ghetto, but a very urban name, and that she is not as white as she acts. If you put a bit of alcohol in her and it's late at night, she becomes a completely different person. Now, this is allegedly from Janelle. I have no clue. But what I will say about Kira is that I don't see her connecting with anybody on the show so far. And I remember hearing her name a lot in the beginning on the first episode when the men had to decide who they wanted to send home. She was being called a lot for favorable qualities that the men liked. But ever since that time, I feel like she's gotten lost in the sauce. I don't see, the connection she's having with anybody. But it could also be that she has this persona. Now, I don't entirely blame the cast for having personas because I feel like they're told to be or act a particular way. Because as Janelle was saying, every cast member appeals to a certain demographic or a certain type of person. So some people are told to be more of a certain way, whereas some people, they see, okay, she's naturally opinionated and she's loud and she's this way, she's gonna be the villain. We're gonna make her put her out to be the villain. It's just what happens, and her BB is gonna be the a-hole, and Quinton is gonna be the pretty boy, and it's things like that. Everybody has their place, and she chose the Valley Girl. And so I'm not shocked that it's an act. I'm not shocked that it's not really who she necessarily is on a daily basis. But that's what tends to happen. People fake things and people hype up a particular persona. They become caricatures of themselves on the show. Right? And she has an issue with Kira as well, but we also saw that on the show. Now, my issue with Janelle is, like, as much as I may not necessarily like Kira, but she was kind of wrong. Not kind of wrong. She was absolutely wrong for saying or pointing out that Kira had a fake bag. That is irrelevant. And she decided to bring up things that she saw in hindsight after the fact, after making that comment that she was using to kind of justify her saying, yes, she had a fake bag, and I'm doubling down on that, and it's true and it's a fact. Because she was never privy to what Kira said about the beer and the wine thing. So her using that to kind of justify her saying that Kira had a fake bag, I feel like it's a poor excuse, because at that time you were not privy to that information. So you were just being mean. And according to what she said, she didn't know the microphone picked it up. But my thing with Janelle is she's not even apologizing for what she said, like it was disrespectful, and it was unnecessary, and also calling her little girl, that's derogatory, right? She never addressed that part. All Janelle came on this live to do is to call out other people's BS, but not hers, but not really hers. Like, it's more so a thing of, oh, other people have issues with me. I don't have no problems. I'm perfect. I'm this. It's people coming from me because of men. Now, I'm not gonna say that it's like completely incomprehensible to think that the men added a different level of competitiveness within the women's, clique and so on. But everything cannot just be you being this victim. Like, what did you do? Like, because clearly we see on these lives that you have a mouth on you and you're not afraid to use it and you fight. Let's get back to her, what else she has to say.
don't make idle threats. I don't talk breezy to people unless I want to fight them. Because I know I fight. The end. I don't play with people. Where I'm from, you do not tell somebody, you don't talk breezy to them, and then be shocked and appalled and aloof when they show up. Who raised y'all? I don't play like that. If I don't want to fight nobody, I don't tell them to come to my house. Stop being stupid. Nobody is too old for that. I'm not. I'm working on it. Make no mistake about it. I get it. I shouldn't be fighting or whatever. But I'm at my breaking point with these ridiculous ass people.
So I think this is where she's speaking about Katarina. Now the reason why I think, well, she said, Janelle, her and Katarina got into it is because someone made a statement or someone posted something on either the Ready to Love page or something of that sort pertaining to that moment that Katarina comes in and the women are seated down and the women are supposed to be like jealous of her or intimidated by her and giving her this look, you know? So Janelle clarified that and she said, well, actually, that's not how it happened. We all met each other outside, and according to Janelle, she made it a point to let the other women, know, just let's all be nice to Katarina, welcome her to the process and whatnot. And so the actual scenario was a more pleasant experience and it wasn't as catty. But what was shown was Unique said something about Katarina is competition or intimidating, or not intimidating but a threat, or she made some comment like that made it appear that all the women shared that same, I should say, thought process, especially when you tie that segment together with the segment where Katarina was on the group date with Jessica and Kira, and we heard that, or we saw that thing from Kira, and the way Jessica said a very weak hi to her, it all ties into that narrative that the women are either intimidated by Katarina or threatened by Katarina. But what Janelle was saying was, it really wasn't that. That wasn't really what happened. And then after she did that, all hell broke loose to the point where Katarina is telling Janelle to pull up, and Janelle actually pulls up and she hears not one peep from Katarina. And that's what she's basically talking about. Don't say things and then you're gonna hide, which I must agree with. Like, don't be an internet gangster. If you're brave enough to say it on social media, then let it be something that you can back up with your words, or else your integrity now is called into question, where you're just saying things. There's nothing solid behind that. So she spoke on that, and also she spoke on the fact that out of the goodness of her heart, she borrowed or sold or gave Katarina a dress from her collection, and she was very much, itching to point that out, that if I was such a bad person, why would I help you and give you clothes from my collection, or so on and so forth. And that's extremely childish to do. I mean, if you do something out of the goodness of your heart for somebody, even when you fall out with that person, I don't feel like it's a good idea to bring up what you did for that person, because I'm pretty sure that person is aware of what you did, so it brings you down to a low level to then point out what you did for them, because in actuality what that is doing is making you look worse and making you seem as if you don't do things unconditionally. Everything you do it for a praise or a benefit, which doesn't make you look very good,
Which I won't tell you what. Okay, I'm not. Listen, I'm gonna hold that information because they keep playing with me. Y'all gonna find out which nigga has a boyfriend. And here's the thing with that.
Ooh, not which nigga got a boyfriend, child. What?
You're already out if you're twirling around pride. So let's just, I can't out you because you already out. Everybody knows you, whatever. But the bigger issue is you are on a show and you took a turn away from somebody who could have really found love.
Last but not least, she came for Chris. And I feel like because, I don't know what happened, because later on in the season, we're gonna see Jessica having dinner with Chris and something goes wrong because we see Chris saying, you don't know me, you don't know who I am, and you know he's getting buck with Jessica, right? So something is gonna go bad at some point. So far everybody thinks Chris is cute, he's handsome, he's nice and everything. He's not my cup of tea, but everybody thinks he's cute. But at some point it's gonna go real bad for him, or maybe Jessica said something that triggered him. We see that he's a very emotional person because he was crying when he was talking to Aries at some point in this episode, I think. So anyways, I think it's because Chris took up for Katarina, because he has her on his page promoting her hair care business or whatever. And also allegedly he said something on Crystal XO that you know, maybe adds to the friction. I'm not sure what he said, but clearly Janelle is not a fan because she felt the need to call him out and have us questioning this man's sexual orientation. Now I must admit, when she mentioned a guy possibly having a boyfriend, I went through all of the men like via a process of elimination and I came up with Chris. And it's like as much as, you know, I wouldn't necessarily do it if it wasn't brought up, but then the more I watch the show and look at him and his mannerisms, and the more I go on his page and I see how he acts and, you know, just little things, it leads me to believe that maybe he is. But this is alleged. This is my thoughts and feelings. I do not know. But Janelle never outed that information to be nice and kind. She did it to be disrespectful. She did it to be hurtful. She did it to cause damage, you know. So I want to know what you guys think about what's been going on these YouTube streets with Janelle deciding enough was enough and outing in quotation marks, most of her cast members, Chris, Taquilla, Kira, and Katarina. Let's not forget that Janelle also mentioned the fact that she thinks, I don't know if I already mentioned it, that her beef with Katarina, or Katarina's beef with her, was because one of Janelle's main connections, Quinton, was really not attracted to Katarina like that, and because of that she took it out on Janelle. I don't know that to be true or to be a fact. This is coming from Janelle. It is all alleged. I'm just reporting on it. So anyways, let me know, you guys, what you thought about Janelle posting her receipts in quotation marks on Instagram and outing all of these people. So clearly we know that there's problems with the cast, but there's always problems with the cast. I don't know what cast has ever been like hunky-dory. Like, there's always been tension, because whenever you put people in a competitive dating environment, drama ensues. That's just what happens. It's just life, you know. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this, thoughts about this. Like, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.